If you were a conclave observer like me, or watched any of us, myself or Taylor Marshall, or anybody else who was giving you wall to wall conclave coverage, you know that we had been involved in essentially the fog of a propaganda war. It was rumors upon rumors and rumors about rumors that dominated the news cycle, from the general congregations leading to the conclave and to the conclave itself, which was remarkably short in the minds of most people. The conclave actually lasted roughly around the same amount of time that most of the conclaves going back to the 1870s have lasted. Be that as it may, though, the perception was that it was relatively short. And it was a nonstop flood of rumors. On the one hand, we all heard rumors that Cardinal Parolin was clearly going to win. We also heard that Tagle would win, and that there were conservatives who were suddenly getting lots and lots of support. Instead, we have a Holy Father now who was relatively unknown for most people before the conclave. Those rumors turned out to be next to worthless. And the thing about all those rumors is this: in the aftermath of those rumors, now that we have a pope, we have more rumors, leaks about information. And the really mind-boggling thing about this is the cardinals have all sworn an oath to be secret, a secrecy oath for what happened at the conclave. They're not supposed to tell us. And yet many of them have. Many of them are oath breakers. It's a very serious sin. And one cardinal has had enough, but not in the way you might think. Go to katholisch.de. This is definitely not the worst idea that I've ever heard come out of the German bishops. Headline: Cardinal calls for an end to secrecy at the conclave. Everyone is speculating and quoting sources that have nothing to do with the facts. Criticizes a cardinal who was present at the conclave. That is why he is now calling for an end to secrecy in the Vatican. And like I said, that's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I like that the conclaves are secret, that they don't tell us, but we live in an age where people can't restrain themselves. There's a significant lack of the virtue of prudence, even among our own cardinals, and this has been a problem, honestly, at the church, the highest levels, going back probably to antiquity. Seems that after every conclave, rumors leak. We now live in a mass communication age with instant communications around the world. I can send a direct message to someone in Tokyo, and they will get it within a microsecond of me hitting the send button. Begin to see how this becomes a problem. Misinformation gets disseminated very easily, and the truth takes forever to catch up. The cardinal is, for once, not wrong. And I say for once, I don't know anything about this cardinal, really, but this is katholisch.de, the German bishops. And they aren't usually known for having the best ideas. Here's what he has to say. Quote, Serbian Cardinal Ladislav Nemeth has called for an end to the secrecy surrounding the papal election. Everyone is speculating and quoting all kinds of sources that have nothing to do with the facts. It would therefore be better if we could talk more freely about how the election actually went, Nemeth told the Hungarian online portal Zmelek. He could understand that the strict Vatican rules are intended to prevent gossip about so-called losing candidates after the election, the cardinal continued. But if it were up to me, I would break with this secrecy. Otherwise, all kinds of rumors will start circulating, like what has just happened. End quote. Is he wrong? I don't think he's wrong. I don't think he's wrong at all. The cloak of secrecy probably should be lifted, simply because they're not capable of keeping secrets. What kind of damage does it do to the collegiality of the College of Cardinals if you have rumors being spread about Tagle, for instance, being told that was never fit to be pope, and that everybody told him up front to his face during the first ballot that he was not even going to be considered? That was one of those rumors that was out there. What kind of damage does it do to their collegiality when you're spreading rumors, true or not, about the health status of the Cardinal Secretary of State? These things have an effect, and they undermine the trust and the vitality of the institution. So maybe they should just get rid of the cloak of secrecy altogether. Maybe they should just have a press conference at the end of each day. We held 2 ballots today. No pope. Here's how it went. And then they keep the cardinals closed off. And while I could see this could cause some serious problems, there is a basic integrity problem that this would solve. If the cardinals are free to talk after each day, then you wouldn't have people swearing oaths they have no intention of keeping anymore. It seems too much to ask them to keep a secret, a basic secret, such as who's leading in a secret election. Here's an observation about all of this and the rumors that flowed from Phil Lawler over at Catholic Culture. Headline: The Simple Truth of How Leo XIV Was Elected. Now, I'm not terribly interested in, more speculation and opinions, even well-founded ones, as from someone who is as sharp as Mr. Lawler is. But he does have a good take on this total failure of secrecy, because we have, once again, cardinals and bishops who just can't keep their mouths shut. Rumors and speculation have been a real problem, by the way, in the Vatican in the Francis era. The place leaked like a sieve. We know this because we knew about Traditionis Custodes like a year before it was released. We knew about Amoris Laetitia and Fiducia Supplicans and all of the really controversial things Francis did well ahead of time. It's why we know that Pope Leo XIV is planning a trip to the United States, and one fairly soon. Here are the details from Mr. Lawler. Quote, "It always happens this way. Less than a week after the election of a new pope, Vatican journalists are confident, at least they tell us they are confident, that they know exactly what happened in the conclave. But there's a problem with that claim. Everyone who was present in the Sistine Chapel, every direct witness to the conclave, had sworn an oath to keep the proceedings secret. What sort of man who takes a solemn oath would then rush out to do exactly what he had solemnly sworn he would not do? A, an incorrigible gossip so thoroughly tied up in the clerical grapevine that he cannot stop himself. B, a manipulative schemer who perceives some benefit in putting out his version of events and in advancing the career of a journalist who might someday pay back the favor. Or C, a cynic who doesn't take solemn oaths seriously. Which of those personalities would you trust to provide an accurate account of an event? None of them, I would say, which is why I tend to view all the post-conclave reports with extreme skepticism. For that matter, I have little confidence in the journalists who convey the reports. These are not ordinary leaks of the sort we see in newspapers every day. These are, let's call things by their proper name, sinful betrayals of sacred oaths. The prelates who forswear themselves are endangering their own souls. The reporters who carry their accounts are willing accomplices. And for what? For one inevitably slanted view of a complex story. Yet sadly, if experience is any guide, the first published accounts will prove reasonably accurate. Subsequent leaks will, to one degree or another, confirm the earliest reports. Within a month, anyone who follows Vatican news closely will have at least a rough idea of the vote totals from each ballot of the secret conclave. Much could be said of the same about the general congregations in which cardinals meet in the days preceding the conclave. These meetings, too, are theoretically confidential, although the cloak of secrecy is not nearly so heavy. The Vatican Press Office publishes a vague, very general list of the topics that have been raised. More to the point, after those meetings, talkative cardinals meet with friends, including reporters, and fill in the blanks. But even the most industrious reporter can collect only a few eyewitness accounts, and therefore only a very partial picture of the meetings. The scramble for information about the conclave may be understandable, especially for people accustomed to reading insiders' accounts of presidential campaigns. But a papal election is not like a political contest. And as I have tried to demonstrate, whatever inside information we receive is tainted in several different ways. So why not look at the election of Pope Leo XIV from the perspective of an interested observer with no top secret sources? End quote. If you'd like to read his account of the election of the Roman pontiff from someone with no insider sources, I'll have a link to this in my show notes at returntotradition.org for your consideration. But again, he's not wrong. What kind of person would leak this information? And this has been a problem long before Francis. We got rumors like this after Francis became pope. We got rumors like this after Benedict became pope. And yes, there were rumors like this after John Paul II became pope. This goes on and on back into history. It seems that these oaths are never taken seriously. If you need another reason to pray for your bishop, that's a good reason, a good example, because every one of those cardinal electors is a bishop of the church. And if they don't take their oaths that seriously, then you should be praying for your bishop to have the integrity and the virtue needed so that if one day he is himself sitting in a conclave, he doesn't have the temptation, or he resists the temptation to leak the information of what happened. Curious what you think about this. Do you think they should just get rid of the veil of secrecy altogether, give a press conference every day with at least some vague idea of the discussions? I'm curious what you think about this. Let me know in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe. If you haven't, it absolutely helps. Sharing this on social media helps a lot too. And if you've ever thought about supporting the work of Return to Tradition, there are options in the description box below. Patreon, Subscribe Star, all those kind of things. That join button below the screen. They all help keep these daily messages coming, and we're asked for by viewers like yourself. As always, pray for the church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.